Welcome. Welcome to the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, live here in the Chamber Music Hall of the city of Bonn. Thank you for coming back. I'm turning to our virtual audience, the virtual participants of the Humboldt Award Winners Forum on Beethoven, as well as other guests already having arrived here in this Chamber Music Hall. And this is my colleague, Diane Fischer. You have met us already in the afternoon.
Yeah, good evening also from my side. I'm delighted to be here with you, together with Dr. Steffen Mehlich, whom you all know well, I assume, head of the Department Sponsorship and Network. And this Chamber Music Hall is actually right next to Beethoven's birthplace, so it's a wonderful location for a beautiful concert which is coming up.
I consider this place to be the heart of the city of Bonn. I cannot but underline this. Beethoven is what has made this city famous, apart from being the capital and after this becoming the federal city. Beethoven is somehow eternal. Nobody can take away Beethoven. And not all the people think about Beethoven and Vienna. In a way, we conceive him as being our Beethoven.
Definitely, and we have also learned that Beethoven has always remained a Rhinelander, actually, even during his time in Vienna. So, yeah, shall we take a short look back to the afternoon?
We shall, of course. I mean, I'm under the impression of those lectures given by Richard Kramer on the Meeresstille. Whose Meeresstille? Everybody knows about this piece being written by Goethe, yeah? And there is also the Glückliche Reise, but everybody talks about the Meeresstille. And what I really appreciated was that he was not talking only on a musicology approach, but also offering some of the pieces of music done in the aftermath of this Meeresstille. How would we translate it? The sea calm, I found such a translation, the sea calm.
Silence of the sea?
Silence of the sea. Sea calm, yeah.
That was just one topic of many this afternoon. We had also a lot of short talks by alumni and young researchers on Beethoven, and
among others from the University of Vienna, Herr Wilson took also part in this series of short talks given. But there was another lecture. I'm just remembering.
There was one from France, actually, from the University of Nantes.
Oh yes, a philosopher taking a philosophical approach, of course quoting Adorno and his philosophy of music, and again talking about the absolute. But he started explaining us that what we are thinking about the absolute in Beethoven's work, this is not what the philosophers would consider be the right way. And there was another plenary lecture given by Carol Berger on Mahler. This was an intriguing title. I should share this title with
Mahler and the Taking Back of the Ninth, right?
Yeah, Mahler and the Taking Back of the Ninth. There was a really intensive discussion later on. Beethoven and Mahler, 90 years later. So quite a different situation in society, and reflecting this, being reflected this also in the style of composing. So yeah, it would be difficult to share all what has been discussed. But talking all the time about Beethoven, let's have a look into the program for tonight.
Definitely.
There is a striking news. No Beethoven in the program for tonight.
It
seems. Sure. Yes. But there is, of course, Susanne Kessel, who has started a project, 250 pieces for Beethoven, and those who have been part of the Humboldt network, friends, and supporters know, I know, last year, during the first virtual meeting annual meeting of the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, she was already participating, giving some of the pieces. Some of the pieces, and there will be something also very special about those pieces, and the composer of one of the pieces is going to be among us. So, this is everything I can tell about this, because we should keep it a secret. We will start with the Stenhammar Quartet. The Stenhammar Quartet, I didn't know about the Stenhammar Quartet. The Stenhammar was a Swedish composer. Yeah. This is a quartet coming from Sweden, indeed. How did we arrange for a quartet to come from Sweden? Aren't there any quartets around here, even in Beethoven?
So how did it happen?
How did it happen? Bill Kinderman, one of the members of the academic committee, the scientific committee of this forum, suggested to call the Stenhammar Quartet. Why? Why? Because the idea was not about the quartet, the idea was about music. The piece of music, it was suggested by Frau Siegert, the director of the Beethoven archives here, who is going to address us and give some more information about her idea, what we should do. It's the Schönberg Quartet, the second quartet of Schönberg. And as I learned today, it is not yet written in this 12-tone technique, but still on the way to atonality. But this is all I could say, because Mrs. Siegert briefed me while walking here to this house. I must.
Lucky you.
Sure, sure. We're all learning during this forum. What is important, when we learned about what the Stenhammar Quartet usually earns when giving concerts, I put a question mark, another question mark, and the third one. As everybody knows, the Humboldt Foundation is a private organized foundation according to private law, but we do not have private money. We spend taxpayers' money, the money of the people here around. So I said, I could never approach our financial department signing such a contract. Kinderman again said, okay, I'll manage. How did he manage? The answer lies in the last piece the Stenhammar Quartet is going to give. Kongsgaard Variations. Kongsgaard Variations written by Anders Hillborg, who was Kongsberg.
It rings a bell, I think.
Kongsberg is a winemaker. In the Napa Valley in California. So I guess many people sitting here in this room have been to the Napa Valley, or at least have heard about, or at least have tried one of the marvelous wines offered there. And he is a winemaker who has also this brand. Kongsgaard is his name, John Kongsgaard, the Kongsgaard wines, and he is a lover of the quartet, the string quartet music. And he does not just love it, he also sponsors musicians. And so he became fascinated of the idea that the Stenhammar Quartet could come here, play Schönberg, as well as the Kongsgaard Variations. Composed by Anders Hillborg, a Swedish composer. We tried to get him here as well, but he is now in Liverpool. Yeah, another business to do there, of course. So there is something in today. This is a very special program. And as I also learned, Schönberg's second quartet with the soprano isn't given so often. So.
Well, thank you so much for this wonderful introduction. I think now we are all well prepared to tonight.
But there is a missing news. The missing news is about the soprano.
Okay, you tell us.
The soprano is an alumna of the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation, a Wardwell Fellow.
Oh.
A Wardwell Fellow.
What is that, Wardwell Fellow?
The Wardwell Fellowship Program is a program that is sponsored by funds Wardwell gave to the Alexander von Humboldt Foundation in the late 50s. And every year we sponsor up to 10 young musicians from Spain to come to Germany to study. Yeah, and maybe later on to perform with the Stenhammar Quartet, the Schönberg Quartet here in this chamber music hall. A young singer who has been working with the Opera of Cologne, coming from Spain. So I see there is a few minutes left. Almost everybody already here. I hope all those in the virtual space are ready to go, which means ready to listen. And already now I would like to say thank you very much to our stage direction, to the people behind the technology and techniques we use here. We have got very, very well feedback about how technically music and how the musicians play is recorded and streamed via the internet. This is a marvelous job, and today you will feel that you would like to see what you see here, maybe later on as well. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us here. And also virtually, thanks to those ones at the screens in the whole world, actually. Yeah, wonderful. We see in the chat that everybody is ready to start. And
Okay,
we are too.
so let's start.
Yes.
Vielen herzlichen Dank, Frau Fischer.
Dr. Mielich, thank you.
Dann möchte ich tatsächlich alle unsere Gäste an den Bildschirmen, aber insbesondere auch hier im Saal sehr herzlich im Namen der Alexander von Humboldt-Stiftung begrüßen. Wir freuen uns sehr, dass Sie alle nach einer längeren, ja, man kann wirklich sagen Zwangspause, die Einladung angenommen und vielleicht auch ein bisschen Mut geschöpft haben und gesagt haben, ach ja, wenn die Humboldt-Stiftung einlädt, die achten doch schon auf die Hygieneregeln. Und das tun wir auch. Also, wir freuen uns sehr, dass Sie gekommen sind. Humboldtianerinnen und Humboldtianer, die derzeit hier in Bonn oder in Köln von der Humboldt-Stiftung gefördert werden, die forschen in den verschiedensten Disziplinen, aber auch andere Gäste, die Freunde und Förderer der Stiftung und Vertreterinnen und Vertreter unserer Partnerorganisation. Und stellvertretend erlauben Sie mir bitte, dass ich Heide Ahrens, die Generalsekretärin der Deutschen Forschungsgemeinschaft, besonders herzlich begrüße. Sie ist auch mal eine Kollegin, zum Beispiel von mir gewesen in der Alexander von Humboldt Stiftung. Wir freuen uns sehr, dass Sie heute auch unter unseren Gästen sind. Der Anlass dieses Konzertes, eines dritten in einer Reihe, das ist auch etwas Besonderes, ist das 10. Humboldt-Preisträgerforum der Alexander von Humboldt Stiftung, das wir erstmals zu einem Thema in den Musikwissenschaften und natürlich aus Anlass des 250. Geburtstages von Ludwig van Beethoven hier in Bonn durchführen. Sie haben ein bisschen mitgehört bei der Moderation in die virtuelle Welt hinein, mit welchen Themen sich die Vortragenden beschäftigt haben. Also, vielen herzlichen Dank im Namen der Stiftung, und die Einführung in die Ereignisse, die uns jetzt bevorstehen, wird Frau Christine Siegert, die Direktorin des Beethoven-Archivs, übernehmen. Vielen herzlichen Dank, liebe Frau Siegert, bitteschön.
Ja, liebe Kolleginnen und Kollegen, meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, Ladies and Gentlemen, dear colleagues. Es ist mir eine große Freude, Sie zum letzten unserer 3 Konzerte begrüßen zu können. Heute schließt sich der Kreis. Heute können wir verschiedene Aspekte aus den beiden ersten Konzerten zusammenführen. Und es gibt auch manche Verbindungen zu den Vorträgen, die wir in den vergangenen Tagen hören durften. Mit den Konzerten haben wir einen Weg beschritten von Beethoven selbst, über seinen Schüler Ferdinand Ries gestern, hin zu Komponisten, die ihm nachfolgen. Und so stellt sich heute insbesondere die Frage, wo sich inhaltliche Verbindungen zwischen den Werken des heutigen Abends und Beethoven ergeben. With his second string quartet in F-sharp minor, Arnold Schönberg wrote a Ninth Symphony en miniature. Und man könnte sagen, dass Schönbergs Quartett Beethovens 9. weiterführt, dass es sie gewissermaßen überschreitet. Und es ist kein Widerspruch, dass das mit einer radikal reduzierten Wahl der Mittel einhergeht. Beethovens task to incorporate vocal parts to a symphony is reflected in Schönberg's quartet, in which he incorporated a solo soprano voice. But that's only the surface of the scoring, so to say. Both composers use the extended scoring for an aesthetic manifestation. When Beethoven wrote his 9th symphony, he not only used the text of Schiller's Ode to Joy, but he inserted a passage with his own words. The recitative, O Freunde, nicht diese Töne, sondern lasst uns andere anstimmen und freudenvollere, sung by the baritone. This can be seen as a statement by the composing subject himself. The baritone looks back to what has already been played, the first 3 movements and the beginning of the 4th one. He rejects it and makes a new suggestion for the rest of the piece. Maybe the integration of vocal parts to the symphony was Beethoven's idea for the future of this genre. We know at least that his sketches for the 10th symphony also include some vocal ideas. But of course, Beethoven did not always use all his ideas for the completion of a work. What we can say for sure is that the composer enters the stage in the voice of the baritone, and that he actively and explicitly expresses his aesthetic ideas to his audience. In Schönberg's string quartet, we encounter a similar, but however, completely different approach. He sets his string quartet in the tonic of F sharp minor, a quite unusual tonic. But when we have in mind that this string quartet heavily deals with a symphonic predecessor, that seems to be a reflection of another symphony, as experimental maybe as Beethoven's one. Haydn's so-called Abschiedssymphonie, the farewell symphony. Whereas in Haydn's symphony, the players, one after the other, leave the stage and the work is reduced to a piece of chamber music, Schönberg adds the singer and questions with this addition the minimal consensus of what a string quartet could be, a piece for 4 string players. But once more, this edition includes an aesthetic manifestation. In the second movement, Schönberg quotes a popular Viennese melody, the fatalistic but grotesque O du lieber Augustin, alles ist hin. The traditional music has, in a way, come to its end. As a consequence, in the last 2 movements, Schönberg does not define a tonic anymore. Das heißt, lässt die Vorzeichen weg, die eine Tonart definieren. In the third movement, the singer enters the stage. Instead of a quotation that makes us remember a text, Schönberg presents in the 3rd and 4th movements poems by Stefan George. But as they are presented by a soprano voice, it is less likely to identify the lyric subject with the voice of the composer. This seems not so obvious in the 3rd movement. Tief ist die Trauer, die mich umdürstet, but more convincing when you consider the beginning of the 4th one. Ich fühle Luft von anderem Planeten. These fundamental changes are composed in a way that they seem to occur without a compositional subject. Changes arrive from an extraterrestrial world, from a different planet, and enter the traditional world of sound. The lyric subject is only expressing what it is experiencing and transforms to a sort of mediator between a holy voice and the earth. Schönberg, quite similar to Beethoven, is looking for sake in the starry sky above him. Das ist selbstverständlich nicht die einzige Weise, Vokales in Instrumentalmusik aufzunehmen. Und die vielen Möglichkeiten, die Komponistinnen und Komponisten ausgelotet haben und immer noch erproben, zeigt uns, dass die Trennung, die wir üblicherweise zwischen Vokal- und Instrumentalmusik vornehmen, nicht streng ist, sondern durchlässig. Was die Gattung des Streichquartetts betrifft, denken wir bei Beethoven etwa an die russischen Melodien, die er in seine Quartette Opus 59 einwebte, oder in den späten Quartetten den heiligen Dankgesang eines Genesenen an die Gottheit oder die Repräsentation des Muss es muss sein im letzten Quartett Opus 135. Ein gleichsam natürlicher und daher besonders beliebter Ort für die Verbindung von instrumentaler und vokaler Sphäre ist die Gattung der Variation. Ein Beispiel haben wir gestern im Finalsatz des sogenannten Gassenhauer-Trios gehört, das auf der Melodie von Priacchio l'impegno aus Josef Weigels Oper L'amor marinaro beruht. Aber natürlich ist in diesem Zusammenhang auch das fiktive Choralzitat und das reale Opernzitat in den Diabelli-Variationen Opus 120 zu nennen. Ähnlich wie das Choralzitat funktioniert das Aufrufen vokaler Gattungen, Rezitativ oder Cavatina, in der Instrumentalmusik. Am Montag haben wir mit dem zweiten Satz der Klaviersonate Opus 111 von Bill Kinderman eine Arietta, eine kleine Arie auf dem Klavier gehört. Das zentrale Motiv regt ganz offensichtlich zum Vertexten an. Zumindest lässt Thomas Mann seine Romanfigur Wendel Kretschmer in seinem stark von Schönberg und seiner Musik inspirierten Roman Dr. Faustus mehrere Möglichkeiten der Vokalisierung vorschlagen, darunter bekanntermaßen die auf den Philosophen Theodor W. Adorno zielende Wiesengrund. Die Arietta hat ganz offenbar ganz unterschiedliche Menschen zu synästhetischem Weiterdenken inspiriert. So ist der Wein eines kalifornischen Weinguts nach Beethovens Arietta benannt. Dieser wiederum bildet den Ausgangspunkt zu den Kongsgaard Variations des schwedischen Komponisten Anders Hillborg, was dieser wie folgt beschreibt. The etiquette on a bottle of Arietta wine displays a couple of bars of the Arietta theme from the manuscript of Beethoven's Last Piano Sonata, number 32 in C minor, opus 111. When I was asked to compose a piece in honor of this fabulous wine, I naturally decided that this theme should have a key role. But whereas Beethoven produces a set of rigorous variations with a steadily increasing intensive curve, the Arietta theme, serenely beautiful and calm in the beginning, culminating in what can best be described as the first ragtime in music history, before fading back to serenity. My Kongsgaard variations are more like meditations, with no directional process. The music floats aimless through the centuries, displaying reminiscences of Baroque, folk, Renaissance, and Romantic music, but always with Beethoven's Arietta theme at its epicenter. Although scarcely audible, the piece actually starts with the music directly derived from the Arietta theme, leaving out the melody but maintaining the same rhythmical flow and harmonic landscape as Beethoven's music is dreaming about yet another variation of itself. Arietta means little song, and these opening bars are then cloned and mutated into other little songs that occur on several occasions in the piece. After the introductional section, the first violin takes on a simple, thoughtful solo motive, which is again cloned and mutated and appears later in the piece in different shapes. Then comes a viola solo, joyful, as in trance, which leads to a section where all instruments sing in praise of wine and music. Shortly after the middle of the piece, we hear the arietta theme for the first time, but strangely distorted and stretched, in the same way as a cubist painting twists the motive if used, almost as if the music is being played backwards. A simple choral part of Beethoven's theme in C major in its pure, original shape. This is succeeded by the second part of the theme in A minor, here again distorted in the manner described earlier, before the music evaporates into a mist of harmonics. Hillborg hat das Stück 2006 komponiert. Wie viel Beethoven heutigen Komponistinnen und Komponisten zu sagen hat, auf wie vielfältige Weise er inspirieren kann, zeigt besonders eindrucksvoll das Projekt 250 Piano Pieces for Beethoven der Bonner Pianistin Susanne Kessel. I would like to conclude mentioning a further way of vocality in instrumental music, in a piece Susanne is presenting today, the one composed by Bill Kinderman. Bill follows a long tradition when he transforms the letters of Beethoven's name, Beethoven, into notes. It is a symbolic way of representation. And whereas Arnold Schönberg, Thomas Mann, or Anders Hillborg refer to distinct musical works, in Bill's piano piece, the composer is represented as a whole. He has inspired the Humboldt Award Winners Forum that we will conclude tomorrow with a visit of his birthplace. I would like to thank all participants for their enriching contributions, and I wish all of us an inspiring evening. And now, please help me to welcome our musicians of tonight.
María Isabel Segarra, unsere Stipendiatin, Wortwirt-Stipendiatin.
Freut mich auch. Dankeschön.
Vielen herzlichen Dank.
Oh, vielen Dank.
Eine kleine Aufmerksamkeit. Die Kollegen bleiben ja noch. Wunderbar. Vielen herzlichen Dank. Prima.
Know if my sound is working because something fell behind me. I hope you can understand me. I am playing a few of the piano pieces for Beethoven, which were written by not 250 but 260 composers from 47 countries, and they all wrote pieces in the length similar to Beethoven's Bagatelles. And each composer I asked to add a piece to this collection, wrote a brand new piece referring to Beethoven in the language, in the musical language the composer usually writes. I asked composers from new music and jazz and pop and film music composers, rock musicians, hip-hop musicians, music theater composers to create a very modern composer's world picture of how Beethoven is seen and felt and heard by modern composers. You just heard two of them, Kai Schumacher from Germany, a little moonlight music referring to Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata first movement, and Jörg Höller, German composer, who composed a piece consisting of the tonal letters of the name Ludwig van Beethoven. This is Ludwig van Beethoven. This is what you just heard. Another composer who did a similar thing, but the piece sounds completely different, of course, as different as composers can be, William Kinderman, who I also invited as one of the first composers, the wonderful and brilliant Beethoven scientist who is also here tonight, which is a great honor. You had wonderful speeches and lectures the last days also here at Humboldt-Stiftung. He also wrote a piece, Beethoven, with those tonal letters of the last name. And what Jörg Höller did was, but what William Kinderman is doing is the same notes, different motive, and it is so dense that that William Kinderman created something like a Beethoven logo, like a music logo to me. Once I heard it, I will never forget that logo. Thank you so much, William Kinderman. The next piece then, after William Kinderman's piece, will also be by an American composer, Mike Garson, who was the keyboarder and arranger for decades of the David Bowie band. So he had the whole career together with David Bowie. And when I asked him to write a piece, he said, of course, I will do it for Beethoven. I love Beethoven so much. And he took the second movement of Sonate Pathétique and made wonderful jazz variations out of them. The Norwegian composer Bente Leiknes Thorsen created a piece about the women in music history, and one special woman in Beethoven's life, Elise, who we all don't know who she really was. And Bente Leiknes Thorsen wrote a philosophical and also a little bit political piece about the role of women in music, and especially Elise's role in Beethoven's life. After that, I play Phantasie für Ludwig by Nino Tiro. He is a young Philippine composer, and he wrote a wonderful late romantic piece also about Für Elise. And because 260 composers took many, many pieces and stories and letters by Beethoven to refer to in their pieces, and I had a look, it is 14 of them who referred to Für Elise, which is following the Fifth Symphony, who is the winner of that game. There were 18 composers referring to Fifth Symphony, but 14 to Für Elise, and that's why I will play Für Elise at the end. you know we don't know who she was. Was she a woman he proposed to? Was she the recipient of his affection? Or the pupil of a beloved one? Does it really matter? In a world that forgets its Barbaras and Claras and Agathas and Fannies, we do remember this woman, even if we don't know who she was. Because she was in his memory. Who do you want to be? Elise?
250 pieces for Beethoven, but we learned tonight 260. Is it right?
260 would take more than 24 hours.
Okay, more than a day.
If you like, I can start now. I have all the music.
We'll continue tomorrow.
since we are the Stenhammar Quartet, we thought we'd force some Stenhammar on you. So therefore we're playing a slow movement from his fourth quartet.
Magic music, played in a magic way. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Great music. We feel privileged to listen to you tonight. Ja, ein wunderbarer Konzertabend, der uns außerordentlich gefallen hat. Und eigentlich wollte ich Sie jetzt verabschieden, aber ich bitte Sie, mir noch einige wenige Minuten Ihrer kostbaren Zeit zu schenken. The 10th Humboldt Forum, Humboldt Award Winners Forum, is a very special one. We have been organizing those forums now for 10 years on topics in law, in chemistry, in electrochemistry, in physics, in philosophy. This forum is very special. Sure, the topic of Beethoven and beyond, reaching to so many humanities disciplines, embracing so many people from all over the world, from Western Europe, from the United States, from New Zealand, Australia, from Cameroon, from Nigeria, Ethiopia, and so on. Wie konnte die Humboldt-Stiftung das organisieren? Yes, we are able to, contribute space and room and funding, but where do ideas come from? Ideas come from those who advise the foundation, who are members of the network, who are our friends, partners, and supporters. So creativity, which was brought into the idea and concept of this forum, came from 3 persons: Bill Kinderman, Christine Siegert, and Federica Rovelli. And I would like to call you here to the stage to be applauded. Into the light, into the very light. We need to see you. Bill, Federica. I need Bill Kinderman, where you are. Also, Sie wissen, was das ist. Franz Wegeler lässt grüßen, der Beethoven-Wein. Bill? Begegnungen. Federica. Mehr Applaus, als wir euch heute schenken können, können wir gar nicht organisieren. Ich möchte Ihnen persönlich sehr herzlich danken. Wir haben 3 Jahre lang zusammen gedacht, gearbeitet, gelacht, manchmal auch gestöhnt. Natürlich, weil nicht alle Dinge so sofort in Erfüllung gehen. Aber dieses vielfältige Programm, allein die 3 Konzertabende, welch Genuss und wie viele Menschen konnten jeden Tag hier in diesem Raum und weltweit partizipieren. Vielen herzlichen Dank, ein Geschenk. Ja, wir machen morgen weiter, das ist klar, aber heute feiern wir auch Sie mit allen anderen. Vielen herzlichen Dank. Ich wünsche Ihnen im Namen der Alexander von Humboldt Stiftung einen schönen Nachhauseweg und ein schönes Wochenende. Auf Wiedersehen.